Hello, guys. Hopefully you can hear me. Check. Okay. Looks like you can. All right. So today we are going to discuss the Owens V Echard case that took place yesterday. It was interesting to sit and watch, and adjust this so that okay. Sorry about that. I'm still getting used to doing like live streaming. I don't know how to do a lot of this. But yesterday was the day we had all been waiting for in the Owens V Echard case. We got to see Gingras at work instead of just typing away his usual nonsense. Aside from a few things with Gingras, I didn't like the fact that he was gesturing to his client Owens during her cross-examination. And so aside from that, I think he did a decent job at advocating for his client. He has apparently put out a blog post, which we will break down that as well, which, you know, I want to give him props in the trial aside from that cross-examination shenanigan and say he was doing good. And then as soon as he's back online, it's the same BS that he is always spilling. So that's something. I am putting the trial up in snippets by witnesses. Owens will be in two separate parts, her direct and her cross, and she was the person that was on the stand the longest. So, our notes. As we've all been saying, Gingras or Gringas or whatever we've been calling him, he pronounced his name as Gingras. Gingras. Like, what? How? I don't see how you get to that pronunciation with your name, but okay. Each side had about 50 minutes each. Judge Maddow kept a tight clock, that is for sure. There was no going over the 2 hours that she allotted for this case. We were hoping that she might with everything, but she was like, no, I have 2 hours for this case, and that's all you're getting. So whatever you think is relevant, you've got those 50 minutes each to put that in, which rushed everybody. Everything was so rushed. They got into a lot, you know, the key parts. But there was a lot that they didn't get into. They didn't address the moon bump, but you know, she has that video from that hearing. Hopefully she can see her adjusting and all that. She, you know, admits in front of the judge that, yes, she did say that she was 100% pregnant in 24 weeks in that hearing. And then, you know, the story goes on to try to explain why she thought that and everything. But they The judge also allotted a 10-minute break, which they ended up taking when Owens broke down on the stand during cross. And, I think she was playing it up like she normally does. You can't really get a good look at her on the stand from the video. But, and yeah, is she going to possibly be upset at the fact that somebody should not have made that comment in court? Like, you could hear it clear as day. The gallery, nobody should have commented. Not in that room. If you can't keep your mouth shut, you probably should have been in the overflow room or watching, because that can cause problems. Like, she could have, with that one comment, the judge could have kicked everybody out. She didn't, thankfully. But if y'all go and watch cases, y'all have to make sure that you're quiet, you are just observing, you can take notes, do something, but not speak while she's on the stand. Thankfully, it was just a short thing. Owens took her break, talked to her attorneys, wiped her crocodile tears or whatnot when she was talking to them. And then she gets back on the stand, and there was no more breaks after that. The comment was when she where did it? The comment was, "No, it's not." That was said real loud. That's what I heard, is when she had said something was minor, it was just a minor perjury, minor lie, somebody from the gallery said, "No, it's not." And that's what, like, it just shouldn't have been said. There's a lot, so I'm sure, like, going through the snippets, or if you go back and rewatch the trial, that you'll catch it. But yeah, the person that said, "No, it's not," was not a lawyer, was not anybody that had to do with the court. It was somebody from the gallery. So I don't know who, but, and yes, no, it is not a minor perjury. Like, what the person said was right. You just can't say it aloud in court when you're watching these trials. Hello to everybody. So with that, all right. So first thing they do is they have like a pretrial motion that goes over basically Gingras gets up and argues about the addendum, the non-disclosure arguments, and that Owens is so scared, and she may not be able to sit there through the whole entire trial because of Maraschini. And, he's violating the restraining order right now by being in court. Woodnick got up and spoke real quickly and, said, these things have already been argued in front of you and ruled on, because, there was a motion in limine and all of that stuff. The judge already said they can come and be there and testify, and he had a subpoena and all that. Gingras says that just because he has a subpoena and is supposed to be in court, the restraining order doesn't even give relief for that. So, maybe that's something that needs to be in restraining orders, or, Owens should have been via Zoom, or in a separate room. I don't know. But and Woodnick also mentioned that, instead of calling security or somebody from the courthouse or whatever, non-emergency, something. Say, hey, we've got a situation here. Somebody has a restraining order and they're here. And my client is here and they're not supposed to be within 100 feet or whatever of each other. But instead, Gingras calls 911. Like, he just calls 911. So police and SWAT and different things like that show up, from what I've heard. Owens claims that she's got 3 witnesses, which is going to be Owens, Dr. Medchill, and was supposed to possibly be her mother. They did not end up calling her mother because they ran out of time. And then Clayton's side said they had Echard, Maraschini, Gillespie, and Dr. Deans. So they had 4 witnesses that they wanted to call. Each only ended up getting to call 2. They got to call their party. So Owens and Echards got called, and then they each called their medical expert, Dr. Medchill and Dr. Deans. I think in this case, because there was such a short thing and she was making rulings on a bunch of stuff, I think she has seen the evidence. So I don't know if she's going to rule with all of that knowledge or just rule based on what was presented in the trial or the hearing. I don't know that it was a trial. It was a court hearing, an evidentiary hearing or something. Yeah, you can have I can understand having a visceral reaction to that lie, the minor lie thing, because we're tired of hearing all of her lies. But yeah, you have to hold it in. Yeah, Judge Matta did say she was going to look at all the evidence. Hopefully that is what she does, and she doesn't just go based on what it is. She goes over what all in the last year has been brought up and presented and that she's reviewed. And so that is a good thing, because if we just had to go on that 2 hours, you don't get the full picture, sadly, because it just didn't get to the heart of the issue. Gingras goes on to argue that, this whole paternity case is moot because there's no baby, so we can't prove paternity. So therefore, this paternity thing shouldn't even be different. Gingras talks about, she was pregnant, talks about her credibility. I think she is or has reviewed that footage, Brady. So fingers crossed, like, it is going to be like waiting on pins and needles for Judge Matta's ruling. And I hope it's justice. I hope she puts some thoughts and opinions in there. She might not. She might just like lay it out as it is, but it'll be interesting to see what happens next. She has remained a constant professional in all of this. So major props to Judge Matta as well. So as well as in Gingras's pretrial, he says that there's no fees for Echard to collect. He stands by all his pretrial statements, and the court can make a finding today, and sanctions can be ordered if you find fraud. Those are some of the statements that were in opening. So first witness on the stand, of course, is Laura Owens herself. And oh my God, we looked at that scale and tried to see if that scale photo had been photoshopped, and that she might have done some stuff to it, but I believe that she's like 90 something pounds. That girl is scrawny right now. And I don't know if somebody should have given her like Ozempic or whatever that she might have been taking, because that's what the scale was from, because she's not, in my opinion, to me, she is not at a healthy weight. She looked so scrawny, almost anorexic, and maybe some of that is due to the stress and stuff too, but that is way too skinny, girl. Way too skinny. Um, yes, I hope that it paves the way for Mike and Greg to get some things overturned as well. Um, I don't know that Mike ever got like HIPAA releases and things like that, because he didn't really fight that part that hard. He fought for his restraining order stuff. Um, I don't know if they'd even be able to pull records from that long ago, but like if he could sue her and try to get it overturned, hopefully he can find some medical records of his own to back up his case. We've already proved that she's doctored some evidence, which she claims to deny and has screenshots of or whatever now, but she doesn't have her phone. So it would have had to come from the iCloud and la da 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 da. It just doesn't seem believable. But she goes through that they met on the 17th. They ended up having their rendezvous on the 20th. The 31st is when she took her first pregnancy test and sent it to Clayton. And then the following day, she went to Banner Health Urgent Care and got the P-stick test from them. Their P-stick tests are, I don't know if they're more reliable than the one she bought. Heck, they might even be the same one. Who knows? And then on June 17th is when she went to Clayton's and took the test at his house. Yeah, she plays victim all the time, Miss Danielle. Yeah, but that scale is from like Ozempic. When you go on there, the Live Well or whatever type of scale it is, I think it goes with the Ozempic thing. And I mean, you gotta be careful with that kind of stuff. I know they've given it to people that aren't like overweight. They might be a tad bit overweight, and doctors have still given people like that that weight loss drug. And it makes you drop weight really, really quick. Yeah, it's fast. Like you look like a totally different person. You definitely have to go clothes shopping for sure if you don't have old clothes from when maybe you were that size. See, you would probably be a person that would, need that then. But like people that were already skinny, like Owens, she doesn't need to be on a weight loss drug like that's that strong. Like to me, being on that drug, it's not the same, but I mean, that would be like giving a lap band procedure to somebody that's just 40 pounds, 30 pounds overweight. It's extreme in my eyes. Yeah, that's true. Although it can be 110 here in Texas. And you can bet your butt that I will have a jacket in my car at all times, because you go into restaurants or places and it is freezing. So, um, yeah, she did say that. Maybe because they do share a house. I don't think she would have. Well, I don't know. I would hope that she wouldn't steal her mom's Ozempic. Um, she is naturally thin, but the thinness right now is way more skinny than she ever has been in her life. And 91 pounds for a person of her height is not good. Even me at 5 foot, 100 pounds is not where I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be above 100 pounds, not much over 100 pounds, but adults usually shouldn't be under 100 pounds. Yes, they missed a few moments, but when you're rushed, and that's we need to give some grace to the attorneys. When you're rushed, you um you can forget things. I know when I'm stressed out or I'm rushed, I'm like, oh my God, where is this? Where is this? I may like go to the car, get ready to leave, and I have to come back in the house like 5 times because I forgot a bunch of different things. Um, she could have, just to show that, hey, I am not, look, see, this is what I am when I'm not pregnant. No, we saw you, what you look like before you were pregnant. And you weren't this skinny. The Yeah, I mean, she probably is anemic right now, but that could be of her own doing because of a weight loss drug. I don't know if she's on one, and I hope she's not puking every time she eats. I don't know why there's such a significant weight loss, but to me, it's not healthy. Um, but um, so getting back to the thing, they used the first exhibit used, was the pregnancy test, but it was also a June 21st email that that talked about, the oral sex, and Clayton saying that, we didn't do anything other than oral. Yeah, we did, grind against each other naked. And so maybe something leaked and stuff, but that was a low chance. But if we think of all the possibilities, it is like a probably 1% or less. Um, and then she did more tests and she went to Planned Parenthood. And she went under a different name. It wasn't the Elizabeth name that we knew about, because they pulled records for that. And then, lo and behold, Los Angeles Planned Parenthood was mentioned, which had never been heard before. And I'm wondering if Gingras ever even knew that. Because I feel like if she would have disclosed that to him, and if it was true, as she says, then why not get the medical information from the Los Angeles Planned Parenthood and hand it over? And you and your attorney could prove all of the JFC cult crew members, Pawn Scum Posse, how wrong we were. And yes, the day she said she went was on a Sunday. And unless they were open on a Sunday last year, Um, Currently, Planned Parenthoods are in LA County are not open on Sundays. Um, yes, you are required to bring ID too. So even if she went under a different name, if she went under Jane Doe, she would have to have an ID that said Jane Doe. Your ID has to match your name. It is listed under their requirements. The photo ID is required. And these are national guidelines, as Dr. Samantha Deans mentioned. They don't see people anonymously. You have to present your ID, all of this stuff. These are national guidelines because especially for abortion, something that is so controversial in today's society. You think that Planned Parenthood would have it to where somebody was in there anonymously, and if somebody wanted to go in there undercover and find out some stuff, and they find out that they're working on women with no identity or false identity, do you know what the government would do to that facility? Even in California, who's probably one of the most lax about abortion, the government would shut down that place so fast if people found out that you could go there under a different name and not provide any ID or have anything. They can't do that. It's such a lie. And for anybody to think that you can go in there, the thing with Planned Parenthood, the anonymity is that you can go in there without telling anybody. And you can get whatever you're seeking and stuff like that. They won't tell anybody that you're there. They won't hand over anything, which no doctor should be handing over anything anyways. Like, you should be an anonymous patient everywhere you go. As far as HIPAA laws are, but like they can't, I think, I don't know if they still do this, but I know at one time, when you were a teenager, you could go into a place like Planned Parenthood without your parent. And if you wanted to get on birth control or things like that, they would provide contraceptive. Right. You have to give your information, but they'll be anonymous, but they're not going to call your parent and be like, so your daughter's here in my office and she wants birth control and condoms and stuff. So did you know she was having sex? Did you approve of her to get this? Planned Parenthood didn't do that. I don't know if they still do that today, but I know back in the 2000s and in the 90s and stuff, they would do that. It's, Planned Parenthood has a bad rap because they do abortions and things like that. There's a crazy movie that was put out several years ago that I went and saw that is basically about the Planned Parenthood thing and abortions and stuff. And it's very emotional, but, and people protest them because of the abortions, but that's not the only thing that they do, So, they are what they are, and you can agree or disagree with them, but, they're a part of this case. So we have to discuss them and discuss why the things that Owens continues to say and new lies she continues to bring up are not valid, because most of us aren't dumb. Yeah, when they Colorado community, I found it ironic when they asked her if she knew the difference between a truth and a lie. She said, "Obviously, of course." So she knows when she's lying on the stand. Exactly. She does. She just doesn't like being called out, because wasn't there like a motion or something that she said? It might have been in her cry video, that Megan Fox reviewed, and then recently she showed the tilted lawyer, and she's just sobbing, and it's deleted off of her Facebook, and talking about she doesn't lie or something like that. Like, "No, I don't lie. I'm not a liar." Da, 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 da. And you're like, girl, shut your mouth. Um, and they get into, of course, the sonogram, and and she says Clayton threatened her, and she didn't want him to be able to track down her providers. Um, and then another thing that was interesting is when we first saw that sonogram, and when it's been posted, the date on it is July 7th. And then they go back, I think it's in like the pretrial statements and stuff like that. And then it's moved to July 2nd. But now at trial, she's stating that she went to Planned Parenthood on June 28th. So not only did she doctor the location, put her name on it, she also lied about the date that she went there. And we're supposed to believe everything else is real. No, I can't trust this document at all. I can't trust this photo. You've changed one thing on it, I'm tossing it out. I'm not even considering this anymore because I can't trust anything on it. You've tampered with it. You have tampered with evidence. She got confused on the weekends because she was in California on both of those weekends. And it's like, so the 28th of June, the 2nd and the 7th, you were all in California. But you were also in Arizona in a horse jumping competition during that time too. So how does that work? Do you have a body double? You're just the pregnant heifer going to do all this, and then the skinny you is on the horse with the flat stomach. Okay, whatever, not buying that. She said she had no symptoms of a miscarriage, but she did have miscarriage tissue. And she spoke with the telehealth people about it and the hotline. I don't know where the telehealth records are because I don't think we've seen those on the internet, but those, granted, are medical records, but they haven't been shared. Because all the medical records, for the most part, that we've gotten have been, some of them have been in filings, but most of them are Gingras putting them out. Right. If you have to change evidence to prove you're pregnant, yeah. Like, if you were telling the truth, why would you need to doctor anything? Like, even the line about her being scared of Clayton, or her being scared of Dave Neal and Reality Steve and everybody in the JFC crew, why would you have to doctor things and make things up if you were really pregnant? Like, why have you not come out with the real Planned Parenthood stuff? The reason is because it's not real. Because otherwise you would have one shred of evidence that wasn't tampered with. And you don't. Yeah, the telehealth, we did see that they told her that she needed to, seek whatever. The hotline told her that, or something like that. It's just, yeah, she had She had an affirmative duty to disclose all discovery. And she was told to sign for it. And I don't think the judge is going to take too kindly to the fact that, one, she mentioned Mission Viejo, and then it was Orange County, or which was part of it. There was other parts of Orange County. And then at trial, it's now Los Angeles. And I feel like if Gingras even knew that information, that he would have sought that information, because I wonder, I don't think anybody can go and try to get a HIPAA form to see if those records exist. The name that she used anonymously, which is of course a lie, she didn't disclose that. And so, I don't know how the judge is going to feel that she told her, you need to sign these HIPAA releases, and then she knowingly wrote down the wrong stuff when the court told her she needed to do this. And then we find out there's one supposedly that she went to, and it was never disclosed because Judge Matta would have had her. I think Gingras would have. And if Gingras would have gotten that back and it said, we don't have anything, maybe he would have gotten off the case then. But after his blog post, and from what I've heard, I don't think he even cares. This is the story of like 3 men and no baby. Let's see here. Yeah, Dave had proven them false. I wish they would have asked the name as well. Yeah, she is the only one that would have had access to the medical records. Even if Clayton would have called or tried to harass the Planned Parenthood or providers, like, they still wouldn't have given him the information. So, like, she should know that. She's done this a number of times. She knows that's how that goes. It's kept private. False in one thing, false in everything. I think the judge will use this logic. I hope the judge uses that logic. So the telehealth provider, she's like, oh, monitor your symptoms. And unless more happens, don't worry about a miscarriage. I didn't think Gingras in court was a lot different than he is online. I will say that. Aside from his little shenanigans, Gingras was a normal lawyer when he was making his arguments, and like, he was professional in that aspect, aside from the giving the signals and nodding his head and things like that. Like, you can't do that. He knows that. He plays by all the rules, right? He's so ethical. I think Gingras knows the truth, but because he doesn't 100% know it, and she's never come out and told him, he can argue in court that she believes she was pregnant at the time. But I don't believe that the telehealth people told her, don't worry about a miscarriage. If you're bleeding, don't worry about a miscarriage. You don't need to go see no doctor. I don't believe that happened. She tested after that bleeding on July 23rd. She tested on August 1st before she went and filed the paternity thing, and she also tested on July 27th. So a total of 5 P tests were done. She said that there was no negatives before filing the case, and even if there was, she would have never disclosed that or told us. Like, she's not going to show us that, even if it did exist. She says that they had sex, and that she told Clayton no, he didn't honor that. Um, and says she didn't try to trap him, because how can I be trapping him if I told him not to even have sex? Because you find ways to trap people, like, with nothing. Like, anybody in that courtroom that was in the courtroom with her, y'all breathe the same air. If you walked by her, you probably impregnated her with twins, because it's always with twins. And in 6 to 11 days, y'all might be getting some messages saying, you're the father, and you'll be in court. She is still accusing Clayton of ARPing her. That, he, there's so much on just her. Let's see what else. The DNA test was scheduled on August 15th with Rabgen. Clayton didn't schedule his part. And she says inconclusive, but this time when saying inconclusive, she states little to no fetal DNA. And so that is interesting that she states that. Because she hasn't really gone with that last part. And then September 28th, there was more pregnancy tests. She had the quantitative blood test on October 16th, which showed pregnant as she thought from any lab test now. And then, of course, on 11/15, when she went to Mom Doc, she was not pregnant. She did a P test at Mom Doc. And then apparently on October 18th, she filed for mediation to talk about the test and try to dismiss the case. But she didn't know how to dismiss the case. She was just pro se, and like, she's never had to do court stuff by herself, and she just didn't know how to dismiss this thing. She was just without an attorney. They do get into Clayton lying about the real estate contracts, that she apparently only had 24 hours to submit them. And so, she signed the stuff on May 24th. And then May 25th, she finds out that Clayton didn't give them to her. Clayton's lie is still a lie. He shouldn't have lied to her. But it's just not on the same level. His lie is not out here ruining people's lives. His lie was not to a court. His lie was not submitting false evidence to any judge, but the judge did allow it. I didn't think it was relevant, but that's about the only thing they have as a credibility issue for Clayton. So I guess I can see where the judge would allow it, just because that's the only thing they have to say, oh, see, he's not credible either. And then, all that happened. All the real estate stuff happened before she was trying to trap him, before any of the pregnancy test stuff. And we know that she told on him to the real estate board and everything. And, there was some violations and stuff for Clayton. She denies that she messed with any of the pee stick tests or any of those tests. And she did not use anybody's pee. And then they use the day 11 pregnancy test, which is the first one that she sent Clayton. And then the day 21 test that she took at Clayton's, that was brought up as an exhibit. And then something that I also don't get is they go into, she claims all of this stuff, that she peed in front of Clayton. She peed in front of him. And Clayton says, no, she went into the bathroom. she had stage fright, so, she peed by herself. Yeah, I made sure she didn't take anything in there or whatnot. Um, but he didn't do like a cavity search. And so she does admit to having stage fright. And then she says, but he forced me to pee in front of him. Um, I don't know about any of y'all in stage fright, and I, I don't think being forced to pee in front of somebody is all of a sudden just going to make you pee in front of somebody. If you have stage fright, like, it doesn't just come out. Like, you're going to be there a while. If you're waiting to just get comfortable enough. I mean, sometimes it might. My bladder does not act normal, so my bladder is not a good demonstration of whether people can or not. I guess, there are people that have to get over their stage fright when they have to go do drug tests and stuff like that. But when you have stage fright, you don't just start peeing because you can pee. He forced me. And she would put up with that after all the stuff she's put up with men. She just put up with a man telling her, like, you need to pee in front of me. I'm going to degrade you like that. I don't think so. I just can't buy it. She's not credible either. Maybe if she was, I'd believe it. And in regards to things, she, June 19th, Clayton would do a paternity test. And then she hired, or was with Bonnie Platter, because she wanted to prevent a public filing, and do the pregnancy plan and everything without court filings. And Clayton didn't hire anybody at this point. Then they go into her brain injury, domestic violence, barrow treatment thing, and an email between her and one of the doctors there, Dr. Zyman, on June 21st. They bring up the planned paternity scan, confirm pregnant. Or no, the email, confirm pregnant. Oh, and at Planned Parenthood, when they did the scan, they saw a sac. Again, she felt intimidated, so she didn't want Clayton to know where she got it. And then they go into the exhibit and the email of 100% or whatever billion proof, real ultrasound video, email from Owens to Echard. She denies sending that email. Then she's like, well, I have my suspicions of who did it. Who? Greg Gillespie. Why do you think that? Because he's hacked my email before and has admitted to hacking others, too. So apparently Greg Gillespie is just this big computer hacker. No, Clayton didn't lie. He didn't lie in court at all. If he told her he submitted those things, then he did. But there's also other conversations that go with that. She did on August 15th, she paid for the Ravgen test. Refused to take the prenatal thing. And then they go and talk about Dave Neal asked LO if the video was hers. Owen says no, and never had a video of the sono in this case. Then they go into talking about the ARPing. He begged 30 seconds, 25 seconds, 20, 15, 10 seconds. And she said no every time. And then talked about she thought it was fingers, but he actually stuck it in. Of course, it talks about being high. Um, he's too high to know, but apparently, they talk about the swollen abdomen, which to me is still odd. I've never heard anybody describe a pregnant belly as a swollen abdomen. It's so bizarre. She has her, Gingras has her stand up and do a little twirly whirl and be like, oh, look at me, I'm so skinny. I was 131 and then like 120 something, and now I'm like 91 pounds. Girl, eat something and keep it down, please. So then Cross starts. And Deandra, I finally have the name. Granted, I didn't look hard, but Deandra is the amazing attorney that we saw in the November 2nd hearing of the order of protection that grilled Owens on Cross and that. And she did so well. Well, Deandra was back. And Deandra crossed Owens again. Yes, Jay. Connie. Yeah, he said he was transferring it to another agent who failed to make the offers and stuff like that. So maybe when Clayton said, yeah, the offers were submitted, he thought that they actually were by the other agent. So it might not have been a lie. Or he was just like, yeah, they were, sure, whatever. Like, just leave me alone. But like I said, there was, whether that turned out to be true or not, there was more context with he wanted to transfer it to a different agent. He talked to his supervisor. He talked to the other agent, told him everything. He did talk to the real estate board. He fessed up to all this stuff. He didn't continue saying a bunch of stuff. He fessed up to what he did. Deandra Uncross brings up the November 2nd stuff and said, remember, you testified that you were 100% pregnant and 24 weeks, correct? Making sure she knows the difference between a truth and a lie. And yeah, of course she knows that. Not really sure she does to this day. And then 12 days after that cross from Deandra with Owens, she goes to Mom Doc. And she apparently has had PCOS since she was 17, but she doesn't live with PCOS every day. And I've thought about that statement. And while you're not going to fully have symptoms of PCOS every day, you either have PCOS or you don't. And I wonder if the only PCOS diagnosis and documentation of it all is from the ones that we've seen, and she's never had a problem since. And that was, I believe, in the Maraschini case that all of that was documented and stuff. Sorry, my nose itches really bad. Allergies are bad. No ovary removal or ovarian cancer. And then she makes it a point to just shit all over Mom Doc. And that the pregnancy history and stuff that the Mom Doc document has and that she put in there, she never told her any of that. So Mom Doc, the provider from there, was just making shit up, apparently. Because that sounds believable. I gotta quit saying There was no abortion done on, or she didn't have a spontaneous abortion on 8/12/23 at 8 weeks, which a spontaneous abortion is a miscarriage. And she was never pregnant in 2019. So she says Mom Doc lied about all that. I never told him I was 8 weeks pregnant. I just don't think that the mom doc is just gonna make up a bunch of dates and put them down. I think you don't remember your lies and you don't remember the entire timeline all the time. And maybe you know when you were dealing with the court cases, but were forgetting that you weren't pregnant during that time. Because I've been wondering who those daddies are and why are there dates for pregnancies and abortions. She doesn't have them all listed. And the ones that she has listed, there were no pregnancies that have been documented. No men have come forward about those dates. So that was interesting. The 2 pregnancies listed were like, who are the fathers of these? Let's see. Fetal sac, scrunch. She talked about that there was light spotting, not a period, in July, and that in her depot it was 2 sacs with membranes in September or October. And those sacs were passed a few weeks after the Planned Parenthood visit. And then, she didn't know the date of that. That's why she said September, October instead of July. And then they talked about the Mission Viejo, the fake name that she never told anybody about, so that records could be obtained. She states that she went to Planned Parenthood for anonymity and that she didn't think that she needed to or had to disclose any of that information because it was a part of being there anonymously. She didn't have to hand over her records for that after a judge told her to. Like, seriously? They bring up the 80s looking sonogram exhibit that just looks like ants on a TV screen with some circles in it, and claims that that's her Planned Parenthood sonogram. And she's like, did you know? Deandra asked her, did you know that this is not the equipment and what their sonograms look like? And she's like, well, maybe not at those places, but in Los Angeles, I'm pretty sure Los Angeles has just as good as stuff as Orange County, if not maybe better. But I'm pretty sure they're probably all operating with the same equipment for the most part. That she altered the image with Adobe Acrobat. She lied about the date that was doctored on the image because that was wrong too. And she submitted it to the media, Clayton, and to the court. But I really wonder if she ever told her lawyer about this. I just do. So that Gingras could obtain these records. Because if that's the record that proves everything, why not get it? It's because it doesn't exist. And we didn't get a HIPAA release to cover that area. Sorry. And she had 4 canceled appointments that she made with Dr. McCool. And then after passing the sex, Gingras was like shaking his head, like no, or yeah, calm down, or okay, yeah, or no, like, okay, like adjust the glasses, do this with his head, like just all the signals. It was so funny when Deandra, she addressed it numerous times, to go there, and like she's like, like, why are you, like, you can't be communicating, why are you keep looking at your attorney, like, I need you to look at me. And then eventually she went and stood to block Gingras, and then Gingras obviously quits, because it's been brought up big time several times, so he quits doing that, um, because you can't do that. It's not allowed. um, you're not even allowed while you're not even supposed to talk about your testimony to your attorneys or review your testimony, like on break. They shouldn't have reviewed any testimony. It should have been like, just take deep breaths, stuff like that. You're doing good. Like, that's the stuff that she shouldn't have been able to talk about her testimony during that, because you're not allowed to. That's why they always say, don't talk about your testimony with anybody else. And um you can't even talk to your lawyer about your testimony. You're going to say what you're going to say, and y'all should have prepped prior. But once your testimony begins until it ends, you can't discuss it. She Something Deandra did mess up on, and I caught it when it was happening, and I'm like, oh, please stop doing this, because no, that's not what happened. Is she was talking about there were two doctored HCG tests. No, there were two HCG test documents. One was doctored, the other one was the 102. But Deandra kept saying that there was like a third one, the 102 one, the one that was doctored, and then another one. But no, there was only two. And she sent that to Dave Neal, because he just been harassing her, and he was content creator who was just doing all this. And I think Dave Neal talked about that he had only like covered this case. He was only 1 week into this case at that point. So yeah. Let's see what else. They get into and then she lied at the hearings, that she said she saw Dr. Higley, and she didn't. She just had an appointment, but she canceled it. But Dr. Higley, in his records, they have no information on her. They never heard of this girl. They don't have a record of anybody by that name making an appointment. So Dr. Higley has nothing to do with this case, and she brought him in here. I don't know. I haven't seen it. Her lawyer says that one doesn't exist. I don't feel like he even would have mentioned it if there was, but I only remember seeing two. Yeah, she did say it on the stand because she didn't remember the number, because, well, she did choose a random ass number. The 131,902, like, she chose a random ass number. But so that number would have been hard to remember, in my opinion. But from my recollection, there is only two. I have only seen two. I haven't seen another one. If somebody finds the other one, great. Then that's just another thing that her lawyer has lied about. And she says, yeah, I lied about that. That was a minor thing about the seeing or appointment with Dr. Higley. And that's when the right medical fraud. Let's look into that. That'll be part of, we'll look into the statutes of that in Arizona. And if it's something, we'll take a look at it. So, somebody in the gallery says, no, it's not. It's not just minor. And then Owens, of course, breaks down and says, if the JFC crew is going to, the judge addresses the gallery and Owens with the attorney. Owens interrupts and says, I can't. And the judge tells her, I am still talking. Like, she was very stern with her. I'm still talking. Don't interrupt a judge. It's not wise. Not wise at all. She's upset, takes a 10-minute break because Owens is upset and can't answer the Higley question. Like, I guess maybe some of the gallery was laughing. I don't know if they actually were or not. You can see when they're on break before they kind of block it out that Owens is like in the corner with her attorney, just, rubbing her eyes and stuff. Then she gets back up on the stand and that Banner Health is the one who told her that her due date was February 14, 2023. And I believe there is no records of that. So, yeah, and it's not in the record. So, but she's like, well, Clayton got the entire document. It wasn't just a picture. Because it's like, is this just a picture? And she's like, well, you'll have the records and y'all have my Banner Health stuff and y'all got that stuff back and Clayton has the entire document. It's like, that was not the question. Tiandra says, you have been in court nonstop since 2016. She said, that is not true. A judge tells her to answer the question, and she said, I have not been involved in cases since 2016. We're like, I'm sorry, do we need to go? Maybe it's 2014 with Matt? Sorry. Not 2016, 2014. So it's longer than we thought. But you have had, so 2014, you had Matt. 2016, you had, I don't know if she had anything from 2016. But 2018 and stuff, she was dealing with Maraschini. And then there was the Uber. There was then like Greg Gillespie and then the contractor thing. And then there was the Clayton matter. So maybe there was some minor breaks in it. But I mean, come on. Really? You're going to fight on that? I'm going to have to go back. Roxanne, if you have a link to that, if you can like send it to me on Twitter or something, or email it to me. My email is I'll put my email in the chat here. If you have Twitter, you can do it. I need to get a better email address. Sorry, I use my email address is that. If you have it, if you have the exact one, because good Lord, if I have to go through all those statements, but I will definitely put out a correction on that if there is in fact a third one. Let's see what else people have said before we go further. She's full of shit and has been. Yeah, Roxanne, she is full of shit, and I'm so sorry that you have to go through it. And I hope the world blesses you with a little one. And then I want to know weight gain. Most people with weight gain. Yeah, I know a lot of people with PCOS that do have weight gain and stuff. We do have medical records of that from way back. So she probably does. It's part of probably the reason she can't get pregnant and wants to so bad. So she just fakes this. I am in Texas, Miss Danielle. Insulin related, not all PS stuff. Well, maybe we'll do a whole thing on PCOS too. There's a couple of doctors I follow, or OBGYNs and stuff that I follow that have gone over some of that I've looked at. Oh, I'm so sorry, Jay. Yeah, and you know, it's women like y'all that, and even myself that make this case so infuriating. But and she just thinks it's like just not a big deal. You know, it's okay to do all this. No, it's not. And I hope this is the end. I hope there's never another victim, because she'll be probably watched closely. But I hope she has consequences for this, for all the horrible things that she's done to these men, but the conditions and stuff and the miscarriage stuff that real people have gone through, and she just wants to make up that she's a victim of those things. Yes, it has been rainy today. I've had to schedule things in between the rain today for sure. I'm more in the DFW area. Only positive thing after 33. I have not had a period since 23. TMI, but yeah, since 23 years old. But do you have like nieces and nephews, Jay, that you get to love on, or like best friends, babies and stuff, and be like the cool Auntie Jay? I think you're a girl. I don't know if you're a girl or not. The picture, I think, looks like that, but I don't have a close-up of the picture. Even if she does try to sue Dave Neal or tries to do the intentional infliction of emotional distress, that is so hard to prove in court. That is not something that is won easily. Defamation isn't either, especially with public figures. And so even if she does, I don't think it's going anywhere. And even if it did make it past like an anti-slap, um, that like nothing, we're going, our observations and opinions and our right to free speech and everything, as long as we are basing our opinions and things like that based off of evidence that can be construed as that, there's no defamation because you're basing it off of truth. Okay, good. I'm glad you're a girl. Okay, good. Well, good. I'm glad you got your nephews. I have one nephew. Yeah, she could turn all this around and take responsibility. Will she ever? No. Oh, my dog. I went to shut the door. Hold on, guys. Oh my God. Okay, hold on. I gotta stop this real quick. Oh my God. My daughter came in here to put something up and then the door didn't fully close. And so I didn't realize the dog was like right there on the other side of the door and I just like pushed it closed with my foot. And so the yelping was the fur baby. But uh she's all better. We loved on her. Oh my God, that was horrible. Feel so bad when stuff like that happens. She's a little dachshund, so um, sometimes that happens. Um, okay, so da, 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 da. She had highlighted things on her phone um, in regards to the Banner Health results. The doctor apparently highlighted one thing. Apparently, she did that on her iPhone. She says she doesn't get a regular period, but yet she knew when her periods returned. So, okay. And with her weight right now, she probably isn't getting regular periods. Deandra says 4 different men. And every time they didn't believe she was pregnant or didn't want to be with her anymore, she got protection orders or restraining orders. And then Deandra ends her cross by giving her the option once again, as she did on November 2nd, to come clean and tell everybody the truth once and for all. She did not take that opportunity. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, I think there will be some more evidence. It'll probably still have time restrictions. It just may not be as tight of a timeline. Different court, new judges who do not know her antics. That's okay that they don't know her antics because we have all the proof of what her antics are and all the court filings that they would have access to. Yeah, all the manipulation from cancer to Chase J. Jones to the anonymous woman at Los Angeles Planned Parenthood. Maybe Chase J. Jones went to Planned Parenthood. Barry Hill did not take the stand, probably because he wasn't going to be called. And then, of course, Greg Gillespie, Michael Maraschini was not called, um, which because of Greg, they didn't go into the fiber thing. Um, and so then MedChill gets up to take the stand. I don't know what I was expecting with MedChill. Um, but that is not what I had pictured, and I had never Googled him before now. Um, but his theory of things, he talks about that. Something that I thought was interesting, he said that Laura bled in November. And, and that naked grinding can cause pregnancy. He talks about that, he didn't consider anything about, false HCG or injections and trigger shots of HCG because there was no record of this stuff. There was no prescriptions given to her. That Planned Parenthood, why he says, I don't think that they would have a reason to prescribe that for her. They could possibly, but he states that's not usually what they do. They don't do fertility stuff. Right. I wish he came to the trial and was there for emotional support because, Tag is a real gem. Tag's going to end up the next baby daddy. He hasn't been yet, but he just might, for being her knight in shining armor at the end of all this, defending her honor because nobody else is, only fake people. Right. Completely agree, Jay. Yeah. I hope she doesn't take up to 60 days. I hope she's like, you know what? I'm putting this in. I'm going to get this ruling in because I am so done with this case. I'm just going to put in my ruling. I'm so tired of this woman and her attorney. She's like, let's just get this ruling out now. ASAP. He said, MedChill said he didn't rely on any of the fraudulent documents. He only relied on the medical records from any lab tests now and the HCG and the Banner Health and the Mom Doc, like stuff that they got via HIPAA records. And then he says, Ravgen is one of the very best. He says that they're very credible. And so, and then they talk about like the swollen abdomen and stuff. And something that he skipped, was skipped over so fast, was, let me see if I can go where, let me go back to that. Okay. 152. Let me see if I can find where they talk about, so if I can bring up a clip about it, that would be great. I don't know how to do clips on live yet. Okay, I don't know where the thing is, but I have it in my notes because it was so quick. And once I get MedChill's stuff uploaded, I want you to go back and watch his presentation. And when they talk about the swollen abdomen, he said, you know, because it was like, oh, this is because of pregnancy. But then he says, and other things, or it could be other things, but he mentioned something about and other. And I wish I really could find that, but um, mm, man, I'm sorry. Hold on, guys. Okay, so I have the timestamp on that. It says regarding, okay, no, I wrote down the wrong one. Okay. So it says, did you look at the photo as a part? You saw the photo earlier. Yes. And regarding the size of Laura's belly, which clearly is not here anymore, that does that show you anything regarding whether she was pregnant or not? And he says it could indicate that she was pregnant, could indicate other things. And then they move on to the fact that Laura didn't claim to pass a large fetus. Is that something surprising? Like, it was skipped over so fast. But her own medical expert said it could be from other things. Okay, let me see if I can do this thing real quick. Okay. Let me go to we'll watch from here. And then let me see here. Okay. Okay. Now let me turn this up. Or let me make sure I can hear this. Okay. Okay. So I am going to add to stage. Okay, good. Yay. Okay. And then I am going to, all right. Let me know if you can hear this. No. Okay, hold on.
Overruled. He can answer if he has an opinion. The court will give it the weight it deserves, which could be a little, a lot, or none at all.
That photo is actually one of the things that. Did you look at this photo?
Can y'all hear
That
this?
photo earlier, yes.
And regarding the size of Laura's belly, which clearly is not here anymore, does that show you anything regarding whether or not she was pregnant?
Is it
could indicate
echoey?
that she was pregnant, could indicate other things.
The fact that Laura didn't claim to pass a large fetus, is that something?
Is the thingy on this? No, he wasn't given the whole story. Where's the thing? That's way up here. Could y'all hear that when it was playing? Let me know. Or if it's echoed. Okay, so we'll go back just a little bit. All right. Listen to what he says.
I can say this woman's not pregnant.
Objection, foundation.
Sustained.
Did you ever have that happen? Did you, when you used DNA testing as a doctor, did you ever have a test come back that said that a woman was not pregnant?
Objection, foundation, and also Ravgen's only been around for a few years and I think it's retired for a few.
I'm asking about the process generally, Your Honor.
Overruled. He can answer the question.
Pre-cell DNA, which Ravgen is a type, has been around for a number of years. I used it frequently. It not only tells you if
Hold
you're
on. We're a
pregnant,
little
it tells
too
you
far
if it's a
back.
boy or a girl. It'll tell you.
Or none at all.
That,
Okay.
that photo is actually one of the things that, did you look at this photo as part of
I
your
saw
review?
that photo earlier, yes.
And regarding the size of Laura's belly, which clearly is not here anymore, does that show you anything regarding whether or not she was pregnant?
It could indicate that she was pregnant, could indicate other things.
The fact that Laura didn't claim to pass a large fetus, is that
To me, that sounded awful to me. All I hear is a bunch of echoing and the same thing repeating over and over and over again. So that's weird. But I will. But I got to get better at that. That's going to take more practice for me because that just sounded horrendous on my end. I don't know how people figure that out. But yeah, he said it could be other things. Planned Parent was Arizona at her depot. She signed a second. The third PP location she claimed to go to. So we know if the woman is pregnant is not to determine if the fetus. Ultrasound, even pseudo, they do an ultrasound to determine she's not a fetus. Yeah, I don't like I've said, hello. Like I've said, I can't put all of this on Dr. Medchill because he wasn't given everything. And how are you supposed to give a good expert opinion if you don't have all the facts? You just can't. I did have a problem with him saying that he didn't need to look at this. He didn't need to take in all the other fraudulent documents that maybe she's lying. Maybe he could have put, this can happen, but if she is lying about all this other stuff, then we don't know. Like, I don't know. But then he did not even try to, but I don't know if it's his job to try to get in touch with Planned Parenthood because he didn't take any of that into consideration. He didn't try to contact them, nothing to render his opinion. But that's not his job. He was given the information he was told to review and give an opinion on. And if he's not given that, then he can't give that opinion on those things. I don't think it's his job to try to reach out to those, to any of those, but it does suck. And I think the judge knows that he didn't have all the information. So that important part of testimony, the judge got to hear. He does not believe she had any rare condition that causes high HCG levels or anything with injections because there's no evidence of it. And the fact that she had a negative pregnancy test at MomDoc that disproves those theories, apparently. I don't know how. and he has 99% probability that she was pregnant. And then he discounts Echard's medical experts, saying, you're either pregnant or you're not. It doesn't matter if it's clinically pregnant or not clinically pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. Which, yeah, is true. But we don't have any evidence that points to the fact that she proved she was pregnant. We just have pee sticks and her word, which is incredible. He thinks that in September, with the DNA test that Ravgen created, where there was little to no fetal DNA, he says that he thinks that from September that it started not to be a viable pregnancy. So he believes she got pregnant. She believes that she bled. But he said bled in November, I'm pretty sure. And then, let me see. This is one of the first things I documented. So let me make sure that's what he said. I don't want to misquote him. Let's see, they're going over that. And she had positive pregnancy test. Looks okay. Maybe he didn't say that she bled in November. I may be misstating that. I'm sorry. I'm not fine. Oh, wait. Okay. So, talks about the September DNA test. He believes that's when it started being not viable. And then, she had that negative test at Mom Doc in November. I don't know if he even mentions the bleeding. Between June 1st and she got those pregnancy tests. No, he does say urine pregnancy test and other pregnancy tests that she had done likely or so demonstrable positive. And the final thing is when she had bleeding in November, and then a couple of days later had a negative pregnancy test at Mom Doc. Well, she didn't have the bleeding in November. That was shocking because in his testimony, he said she bled in November. She didn't bleed in November. Unless he's talking about her supposed period that showed up. And I don't remember if she had a period right before she went to Mom Doc, I believe. So unless he's talking about her period, but he doesn't mention the July bleeding. I don't know why. Tramadol for cramps. And he was kikiing out there with Owens and all them after court, this expert. And he's like, I didn't consider any of the fake stuff. How can you not? How can you not ask questions? I don't get periods. She either doesn't get them or she has them very rare. I think she has very irregular ones. Yeah, he's risking nothing. I don't think he even has kept his license and he's retired, but might be the only person that ever was like, yeah, sure, you can get pregnant from naked grinding. And I have dealt with a patient named Mary at Christmas time who was a virgin. I was explaining that to a client yesterday. And she was like, what? No. But yeah, that's basically what Dr. Medchill said. And then Dr. Samantha Deans takes the stand, and they go over, she does talk about like clinical pregnancies and things like that. And she talks about the things that are in her report, that she never gave permission for Gingras to put those out online. No, they didn't bring up the Christmas Miracle Baby by the Virgin Mary. And that her reasoning for questioning everything, and that, it doesn't seem plausible, and just based off of pee sticks, we can't just trust that. So she didn't get to talk very long. Gingras did cross her a little bit, but she was firm in her thinking, and then Gingras's time ran out. And he couldn't cross her. So she was on very shortly. Woodnick ran through her so speedy fast. And then the last witness was Clayton. And Clayton gets up there and, talks about how they didn't have sex, and, she's lied, and she has sent him these sonograms and things like that. He talks about the whole case. They're like, Clayton's story was the same as we always heard. There wasn't really anything like new that I took away from Clayton. He got up there, he was calm, cool, collected, just answered the questions. And Gingras didn't even get to cross him. It was like, okay, thank you. You're welcome to step down. That's the end of the day, or the end of this hearing. So I wonder how mad Gingras was that he did not even get to cross Clayton, because Owens took up so much time, and she would have taken up less time had she had just answered the questions that were being asked, and didn't add on to things, or, oh, that's not fair. Like, I can't just answer it. I have to give a reason. And it's like, we're asking you a question. It is your attorney's job to get the reasoning out of you if you have something else to say. I just need you to answer my question. You did this or you didn't do this. I don't need to know why you did it. I don't need to know the whole story behind it. You either did it or you didn't. And if your attorney wants to go somewhere on that, he can do that at redirect. So it was just very, very interesting. I heard that there were people that work around the court or with the court and stuff like that. People that are attached to the judge, they were interested in this case, not just watching her, because it's a crazy case. Let's see here. What else? Nurse. Level, it's worse. Yeah, he kept talking about scientific. I don't. And if he means scientific is just relying on medical records, I mean, that could be his meaning, but maybe our meaning of scientific and his meaning of scientific are not the same. Pledge versus donate. Yeah, we didn't need a twirl around. Like, why does she need to show off her body? Whether it's how skinny she is or how big she is with a belly. Why does Owens need a body check in every hearing? That's just weird. Sit down. In the appeal, he may talk about, you know, the disruption in the courtroom. I don't think it's going to be enough because the judge did. Yeah, his claims go against science. Yeah. I mean, so she's a medical marvel in all of the pregnancy things. She can get pregnant every time with twins. She knows or has the feeling in 6 days, and she tests positive on the 11th day. Then, you know, she's got vanishing, absorption twins. She also is a medical marvel in the fact that she got pregnant without intercourse. If we go by Clayton's theory, it's just so interesting. So interesting. And I truly hope she ends up getting help. I had hopes that her parents would maybe tell her this is the last time. We're not going to be doing all this. Again, yeah, and fetal DNA is magically vacuumed from her blood. Yeah. Just like exactly. They should, I mean, she's a medical marvel in all the ways of pregnancy. The way she gets rid of pregnancies and they disappear, and the way that they appear, like all the things. She is a true medical marvel, and she needs to be in a medical trial and get paid lots of money there. Maybe that'll help her. So that is the case that happened yesterday, and now we are just waiting for Judge Mata to issue her ruling. And I don't know what it'll be. We all have our fingers crossed that it will be something good, something just. You know, and Gingris's line, if she believed she was pregnant, she wins this case. But if you believed you were pregnant, why do you need to doctor evidence? If you truly believe you're pregnant. Like when you're doctoring evidence and submitting things that are false everywhere, you know that that's not real. So the fact that she's trying to cover up pregnancy stuff or real pregnancy stuff with fake pregnancy stuff, to me shows me that she didn't believe she was truly pregnant. She knew she wasn't truly pregnant. Just like if you try to cover up a crime, a murder, and what she has done is a crime. If you try to cover it up, you're not insane. You knew right from wrong. And she knew right from wrong. Probably the important reason to ask her, you know, between the truth and a lie, right? So when you're doctoring all this evidence, you know that it's not okay. No matter what your reasoning is for it, you could have your reasoning for it for Clayton, but the fact that you submitted all this stuff to the court is abhorrent, and she shouldn't have done it. Yeah, long sleep. She's probably, yeah, she's cold. Like if you're that skinny, it's cold. I don't know how hot or cold it was in the courtroom. It could have been cold in the courtroom. If I don't hear back from you tonight, I'm having the child. Right. Like, it's just, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't with Owens. Like, you're either stuck with her or you're stuck with a baby with her. Like, and in the end, you're still stuck with her if you have a baby with her because you have to deal with her because y'all have a shared child. So, like, there's no way out from her in her mind. She's that crazy chick that you're going to deal with forever. There should be a warning sign on her. I hope future people that want to date her, I hope they do a little bit of research before they decide to do that. Yeah, that it things happen in a linear fashion, and nothing did in this case. Everything was so hopped around, because she was spinning her story, then she got found out about, and then she had to go back and tweak all of the story and come up with new stuff. And she didn't go to Mom Doc to she didn't go to Mom Doc for the pregnancy thing, to see if she was still pregnant. And they talked about, I think MedChill talked about also that he mentioned, the lack of prenatal care. And he said that, a lot of people who are going to abort the babies don't always go and get prenatal care. Well, that might be true, except for at this point, she had decided to keep the babies. So what was the reasoning then? Like, MedChill's point on that didn't make sense. He's probably a smart doctor. He was probably a very caring, sweet OBGYN, who dealt with women at their happiest and lowest points in their lives, but he just was put in a bad spot. Well, and that's how people like this go through life, is if nobody ever calls them out, they think that they can continue doing what they're doing because nobody has told them that it's wrong or said, hey, don't do that. Hey, this is not okay. If nobody says that to you, these people just in their own little world think that everything is okay. She's not gotten in any trouble before with any of this. Eventually it catches up to you. All right, we are almost at the 2-hour mark. I will be putting up a video in the next day or so about Gingriss's blog post. We will be finishing up our Greg Gillespie series. We're going to go over abortion coercion statute in Arizona, because that's what she accused Greg of doing. And so that's kind of what the next couple of videos are. If y'all have thoughts on what y'all would like to cover next, please let me know. I have, I could do a timeline linear thing on Daybell. We could break down each of the witnesses or things done in the Karen Reed trial. There's also a case that it's a deemed suicide case that maybe shouldn't be deemed suicide. It happened years ago, but the case is interesting in itself. And there are like plenty of documents and stuff to go over and things in that case, but it's an older case, and right now it's just deemed suicide when the circumstances are very suspicious. So if y'all have thoughts, let me know in the comments, or shoot me an email or message me on Twitter, and let me know if there's something that you are interested in that I should cover. But that is it for today. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.
Mhm.